Woo-wee. My ninjas. I hope y'all are doing well today. As you can see from the title of today's video, um, I'm talking about the game of life and the balancing act. Now, um, I know I said this in my first video, but I am a musician, first of all, so link below if you want to check that out. I also have been in sales for over 3 years consistently. That's my primary only source of real income at the moment, outside of little dollars here and there, but that's my main source of income, is sales. And last year I made around 60,000 off of that, and I only say it like that because one of my mentors just said that's middle poor, which is pretty accurate. But I'm trying to be making that every month, obviously. So that's the goal. But then also I'm just into self development in general. So learning new skills, like trading, reading in general, just keeping that brain active, learning about things that I'm either passionate about or that is applicable to what I'm doing. And I just say all that to say that requires balance. I have to be able to balance and compartmentalize things. Um, and I want to start off by saying, piggybacking off of something that I said in my last video about belief, and that is that I believe that life in general is about 50% physical, meaning what we can see, what we can touch, things like that, and 50% spiritual. So, either things in the ether, or which is the space between the physical matter and the spiritual, and just the spiritual as well. So that's covering things like something in the ether would be described as like maybe like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth connection, the thing that allows us to communicate even though we're not in the same area. Even certain things like lightning, germs, electricity. It's like now that's a little different because those are actually technically physical, but still it's kind of beyond the scope of what the brain can understand or what science can understand, right? So it's like we can't really explain where it comes from. It just is, right? And then there's your thoughts and our spirits, and I believe once you understand that, you'll understand not only how important belief itself is, but also how important the law of attraction is. Now, I'm sure if you're even watching this video, you've at least heard of the law of attraction or probably have studied it. So I'm not going to really cover that in detail because there's plenty of other great videos talking about that. But what I want to talk about is it's about balancing your vibration and the law of attraction with what you're physically doing. So it's about you being very specific about what it is that you want, believing that you can have it, making a game plan to make it happen. And then in your mind, visualizing and becoming that, creating that in your mind, and being that person in your mind, but then at the same time physically waking up, going to your job, doing whatever it is that you have to do as that person in your mind, which is again, there's other videos that talk about this more thoroughly, but the point is it's a balancing act of the two. So if you have all the work ethic in the world and you're grinding, and you're not doing the other part, then you'll just be working really hard and spinning your wheels forever. And then if you have all of the spiritual side down, and you have a plan and you believe and you have all these ideas, but you're never putting any boots on the ground to make things happen, then it's also not going to work for you. So you have to be able to do both things simultaneously, consistently. And again, that's, the juggling act. It's almost like, I almost imagine like those jugglers who have, I guess, the pins, like the bowling pin, the mini bowling pins, they're like juggling them. But I think that's really the game of life, because it's not only balancing that, but it's also balancing other things that I'm about to get into. But I do want to briefly say, um, I, again, said in my last video, I am a Christian. I'm not perfect or anything like that, so please don't judge me. But at the same time, I do believe in God, and I believe He created man. And I feel like a lot of people, right, will I feel like people, for whatever reason, make God and science clash. And in my opinion, I'm like, why couldn't God have made science, right? Because it's like, there's science has credibility, and it has, evidence to be um, something that holds merit. So, science holds weight. But for example, like the Big Bang, and again, I don't want to jump into this too deeply, but just as an example, with the Big Bang, right? Like the idea that, something happened in the universe and deep space, and then it just kind of like farted out the universe. and then uh and then life just happened. And then the funny part about that is, right, okay, so the earth is just far enough from the sun to where it doesn't burn up, but then we're just close enough to where we don't like freeze over from being in space. So we're like at the perfect placement in our solar system to where life is even possible. And then just all like the little small nuances of life, even down to like the brain, which like science can't even fully understand and comprehend all of the nuances of the brain. And there's multiple other things like science doesn't even have an answer on right now. So the idea that all of that stuff just kind of like happened, like I don't know, like like I said, just kind of like farted out of nowhere. I don't know. I just feel like, why couldn't God have made the Big Bang, if anything? You know what I'm saying? Because that almost makes more sense to me. But I digress. That's not what this is about. It's just about, in general, I think life is about balance. So I think even in that, you know what I'm saying? Like you can believe in science and also, believe in God, Jah, Allah. My friend refers to him as the universe, if you want to, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, it's not me trying to shove the Bible down anybody's throat. I'm just saying that I definitely think that there is more to it than something just happened. Anyway, that's beyond the point. I just wanted to say that in general, life is, in my opinion, and excuse me, I'm sorry, life is, in my opinion, 50% spiritual, 50% physical, what we can see. The next point I wanted to cover is um, feminine and masculine energy, and also talk about like the red pill, blue pill, purple pill. So I saw a video that Steph is cold. Shout out to my boy Steph. Um, I saw a video that he was like reacting to, and it was like this lady talking about how like she didn't like nice guys and stuff, and she like explained that like at the beginning of the video she explained that it's not that she wants somebody to be mean, but that she feels like if her masculine energy, and this was her words, if her masculine energy that she has in herself, right, is more, she has more masculine energy in herself than her guy does, or her energy is dominant over her guy, then she can't be submissive and feminine and sweet and all these things to him. So she feels like, he and he broke it down very good in his video. So go watch that video. But but to my point is like, every woman is like that to a degree. So she has, a bit of masculine energy in her, and it may be more or less in each person, but it exists. And same thing with men, and you see it, a lot more um, obviously today. Kind of the great divide between masculinity in general is almost has a identity crisis or something right now. And I also will probably talk about that later, like true masculinity. But anyway, um, yeah, there's men who have, well, actually, all men have feminine energy, but it's just about how much is, existent, or, yeah, how much is there, present in the person. So I think that because we'll talk about the red pill and stuff here in just a moment. But actually, I can kind of get into that as well. That can kind of lead into what I'm about to say. So I'm sure you know about what the red pill is, but if you don't, it's just kind of like it's a philosophy, kind of like based off of the Matrix. But it's the blue pill is like what men in America, especially in my time, and even before that, have kind of, but really in my time as well, like with Disney movies, Hallmark movies, and just kind of like what our parents programmed into our minds. We have an idea of how women want to be treated and things like that, and especially because a lot of men these days grew up without fathers for one reason or another, right? So like I myself was like primarily raised by my mom, and then I have like a big family, but most of them are like aunties and female cousins and stuff. I did have my pa, and also like some cousins and stuff, some uncles, but still like mainly women. And people a lot of men were raised by women trying to do their best to raise a man, but it takes a man to raise a man. So I don't even feel like I fully started becoming a man for real until after like maybe 21, like the age of 21, going into like 22. And that's just because I had to start outsourcing and like looking basically for mentors and online examples, of people showing me how to handle or basically navigate as a man. So that's a crazy thing, but not to go too deep into that. The point of what I'm trying to say is that's the blue pill, and then obviously most men sees where that gets you, and if you haven't, just you wait. But with the red pill, it's just kind of basically the philosophy of understanding female nature, under not listening to what these women are saying, but watching what they're doing, and just understanding the game, man. Just understanding the game and not hating the game, but just understanding how to be. I hate to say it, but that's the only way to say it. Like a player in the game, play the game to win. Play the game to be successful. So, I had to learn, a lot of things because, like I said, I was raised by my mom and the female cousins and stuff. There's a lot of things that kept happening, and I'm always like, "Can you just tell me why? Just tell me why, bro." We'll get into that shit later, bro. But my point is, my point is, um, I feel like I'm more so purple pill. So that's like, okay, I'm red pill aware. I'm aware of female nature. But honestly, I just want to be so successful that I'm like the exception, right? Not the exception, but like to where I just create my own reality. I'll create my own world, and women act a certain way, but when they're around me, they act like a certain way. So because most women act how they act with their boyfriends, but let them get around Chris Brown or Drake, hold the demeanor change. There's some dude that like if you put that dude in the situation, whole demeanor changes. I'm trying to be that guy, you know what I'm saying? By being successful. So with that being said, if I do like the idea of love and to a degree, what I'm saying, we're not falling in love, but at the same time, just, having love, enjoying the company of a woman, potentially being married one day, things like that. There's some people who are like red pill or black pill that are like completely anti that. And I think, again, you need balance. You need balance. And to the ultimate point in the female and the feminine and the masculine energy, the red and the blue pill, is especially with men. There's like a spectrum, right? So it's like it's either like you're really hard and you're just like a macho man, man's man, like and then the other side is just like you're like a damn subtle. I wouldn't say pansy, but like you're just like a kind of a weak man, like a beta. You know what I'm saying? So I just saw a video earlier of like some dude. Oh my god, this dude was like, for whatever reason, standing on the side of the road, and this woman was like changing his tire, and she had like heels on, and like looked like she had like business attire on, and he looked like he had business attire on too. But like he's sitting there watching as the woman is changing his tire, and I'm like, bro. So then there's people like that, you know what I'm saying, which is just like, oh my god. I'm not talking about, because there's the hard, then there's somewhere in the middle, then there's like the beta male, and then there's like the LGBTQ community. I'm not even talking about that because that's a whole different thing. But I'm just saying like beta males that are like simps or like beta, like weak, like, and I don't have to give examples of it, what I mean. So what I'm trying to say is there's a middle. Like there's the hard, there's the soft, but then there's the pause. But then there's the middle. But then there's the middle, right? And I feel like a good example that like Brandon Carter often brings up is like a James Bond. Okay, so he's like a kind person. He's a gentleman. You know what I'm saying? He's a man. If he would have been in that situation on the side of the road, he definitely would have changed the tire. You know what I'm saying? He's dapper, but he's also not like a pushover. He's also not like a pansy. And I think that people like that, people like Bruce Wayne. I know that they're fictional characters, but you get what I'm saying. Men who are like a balance of being a traditional man, and then they have they just have a good balance, man. And you know what I'm trying to say. You should have hopefully your frontal lobe is developed if you're watching this. If not, um, you'll get there. But balance, man, balance. And then lastly, I want to get into the four pillars, which is basically a philosophy I got from Ty Lopez. Shout out to Ty Lopez. And I think it was a video entitled like the 12 foundations of a good life. But that's where I got my idea of the four pillars, which is health, wealth, love, and happiness. And if you think about it, you need all four of these things to have a successful life, because if you're missing any one of those, so health being like your physical health, um, like your organs, how that's working, being alive, your dietary health, like your physical health, being in shape and functional. And also, I'd also throw in like your appearance, like because being attractive today is important, especially depending on what type of results you're trying to get. Wealth, your money obviously is very important. Love, meaning like your romantic relationships, your friendships, um, and also your relationship with yourself, I'd say, which is very important. And lastly, happiness, which I'd say, kind of is a side effect of the first three, but that's more so like your purpose, your passions, things of that nature. And I think that, in closing, that you do need to also have all of those areas prioritized and balanced in your life. Um, because again, if you have all the money in the world without health, it's kind of hard to enjoy it. If you're in shape and you got the money, but you have no friends, you have no love life, you have no, then like if you have, that's why you see, successful people who end up still offing themselves because they more than likely lacked one of those things. So, um, go watch Ty Lopez's video on that. That's a great video. And I'll probably talk more on the four pillars in the future, because that's a big part of like my routine and everything and how I live my life. But um, yeah, man, I appreciate y'all for watching the video. I hope I didn't ramble too much, but I just wanted to get real. And again, it's more nuances to that. Please definitely drop a comment below and add anything that you feel like I may have missed. But I feel like those several things are basically it's a juggling act again. Or a balancing act. And thank you again for watching, and I'll catch y'all on the next video.